Welcome back to Beyond the Silence podcast. I am your host, Lisa Toma. And on today's episode, I'm going to be taking you through my journey after experiencing one of the most traumatic things in my entire life. And I'm going to take you through my struggles and obstacles as I started getting closer to my healing journey. Starting off with now, I'm 18, just lost my mom, found out the worst news I could possibly ever hear. And being the oldest of four siblings, we had to really figure out a way how we were going to navigate this, be there for each other, and get through life, basically just surviving. This is where your survival states start kicking in depending on which one you resort to. And mine was fight. I was definitely a fighter. I went in head first and just kind of plowed my way through the best that I could. It was not easy. There were a lot of moments of struggle. And there were also, a lot of moments that I could also say that I'm grateful for. But the biggest challenge was probably trying to figure out what was next and having our safety completely robbed from us. So I had just started college and I was not ready. I was not ready to go, but me being in fight, like I said, I plowed through it. So my mom had passed on May 1st, 2002, and I was starting college for early childhood education in the following September. I was also responsible for bringing my brothers and sister to school and picking them up. I didn't want them to already to lose their foundation and their friends. We had already lost everything. Literally, we lost everything. So I wanted them to stay at their schools in Vaughan. So I would drop them off, go to college, kind of get through my day, pick them up, bring them home, find a part-time job. Financial struggles were huge for all of us. We were all young. I did have a job, but was also now responsible for kind of paying my way through life. It broke my heart to even ask my grandparents for a penny. And so we had to figure it out. We went from everything being provided to us and for us to now having to learn by ourselves how to provide for ourselves, obviously with the help of our family. After that, I found myself in very quickly into a long, very toxic relationship with someone. I was experiencing my own pain, but when you're the eldest and you're seeing your younger siblings in so much pain, you want to just take that away from them. And I knew that at that time, I was the only one who would be able to do that for them. There was a huge language barrier with my grandparents. We didn't really my mom's side of the family is so small. We didn't really make that connection right away when we first moved in. And I was it. We're trying to make sense, number one, of what happened. And I feel like the most traumatizing thing of all of this was the story that each of us created in our minds of what happened that morning, and also trying to make sense of what was happening with our dad. And he, after the crime was committed, he had turned himself in to the lawyers, which then the lawyers made the call to the police and he was arrested. But the most difficult part of all of this is that it took 3 years for us to go to trial. And it was so detrimental to all of us because I feel like leading up to that 3-year mark, we had started establishing our new foundation. And then 3 years later comes the trial, and now we have to relive all of it all over again. And not only do we have to relive it, we have to go up on the stand and face our father who took our mother away from us, and we haven't seen him since that day. And how are we going to be able to face him, look at him and see him, have the strength to answer these lawyers' questions? It was just, it was a living nightmare. It truly, truly was. We found out what happened that we don't really, like, we never really found out what happened that morning, but we did find out a lot of a lot more details in the trial. I feel like the worst part of the trial was, yeah, of course, having to relive that experience all over again when we were trying to finally move forward the best way that we could. It was finding out, we already created the story in our mind of what happened, and then finding out specific details of how my mom had passed and what exactly happened and how it happened kind of brought now that vision to real life. And it was all I saw when I closed my eyes. It was literally like at night when I closed my eyes, even when I was just driving, it would be like this vision that would pop into my head, and I would just literally replay it over and over again. And not that I wanted to, it just, when you find out details, that's just adding to now this trauma I have on top of trauma on top of trauma. So I guess the number one question would be is, how did I deal with it and how did I move beyond that? And the answer isn't very simple, because it's not just one single thing that brought me through it. I want to say that the number one main thing was my siblings, the relationship that I had with my siblings, because we really had to lean on each other. We were the only ones who really knew what we were going through and what we were experiencing, and we had to hold each other no matter what. The second thing is, I had a very, very strong and loving community of friends. My best friends were my friends since I was a kid. They were just such a strong, strong piece for me. The environment that I worked at the Centered on Children Child Care Center in Vaughan, I basically spent half my life there, and the family that I had there was something that I'm so grateful for, because they really held me high too. And it was just all of these strong people that I had in my life, and these relationships and friendships that I built. I can't even say friendships, because they were more like family, and really brought me through it. But there was a lot of silent suffering and silence that I was going through as well, that I didn't want to share with people, because a part of me felt like I needed to be this rock for my family and for the people around me, because even all my friends and everybody was so concerned about me, and I had to, I guess, put this mask on that I was strong, but there was a lot of suffering and silence that I was going through. And through all the suffering and silence and the struggles that I went through, in my next episode, I will be bringing you guys with me on my healing journey, and where I found my light and how I used my story as my strength and my purpose, and not the story that kept me stuck in victim. So you can find me on Instagram at This Is Healing Official, or on my website at www.thisishealing.ca.